Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Arinjay.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, hi. This is Pawan.
Hi, Pawan.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, let's go ahead with the demo.
Okay, let's start with the demo.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm, okay. So I have broken that into a presentation plus live demo. So let me start with that.
Okay.
Just give me a moment, please. So I'm just sharing my screen to start with the demo.
Okay.
Just let me know when you can see that.
Mm. I'm unable to see your screen actually.
Yeah, just a minute. Not able to share the screen. Can you see it now?
Yeah, I can. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, okay, I'll start. I'll start in the formal way. So the topic for today is we are talking about triggers in Salesforce and their importance and how do we implement. So we'll go with some of the basic concepts of triggers and then we'll switch over to the real implementation. And initially, let's go with a few slides to understand the basic concepts.
Okay.
So that would be the agenda, and we'll be covering this in next 30 minutes or so. So we'll understand what the trigger is and why do we have triggers in Salesforce, where to use those triggers. Then we have trigger types and syntaxes. Then there are some internal events and context variables inside triggers. Then we'll take two or three few use cases and we'll try to implement the same in the org itself. And then we'll discuss, I'll give you some pointers on the upcoming discussions. That's the agenda behind.
Okay.
So let's understand what the trigger is. So most of the people who have already studied databases know about triggers. Like it is something, some real action which is happening whenever some insert or update operation is happening, and these triggers are executed automatically. So as per the slide we read, trigger is an Apex script that executes before or after data manipulation language event. That could be insert, update, or anything. Then Apex triggers enable you to perform custom actions before or after events. So either before a record is being updated or after a record is being updated or new record is being inserted, those actions. and they apply to the records basically. And as I mentioned, these can be insertions or updations or deletions. And this is similar to database concepts of triggers. And this Apex also provide the same trigger support for managing records. So this is the basic thing what trigger is.
Okay.
Then Salesforce also have some configuration tools like process builders and workflow rules and validation rules. So when to use the triggers? This is the basic question. It's not always like we have to write trigger in all the cases. First of all, as Salesforce suggests, we have to use the configuration tools like process builders or workflow rules or validation rules or maybe something else, any configuration tool. But if you have something which is complicated in such a sense that we cannot perform that operation using process builder or workflow rule or any other config tools, then we switch to triggers. So that's a basic rule.
Okay.
So that here comes your trigger syntax. We'll write, it starts with a trigger keyword. Then you can have a name of the trigger on the object name. So a trigger will always be on a single object, which is represented by object name here. And within brackets, you will have the trigger events. And whatever we have to do, what operation what we have to do inside, that will be represented by the code block. So we'll have the trigger keyword, name of the trigger, on what object, like account, opportunity, or any custom object. And within brackets, we'll have the trigger events. Now, what trigger events means that we have, we'll be discussing in the next section, which says a trigger is a set of statement which can be executed on the following events. Now, what events but these could be, as we have earlier studied in the definition, like before or after any DML operation. So here are the 5 trigger events. You can do a trigger event of before inserting a record, before updating a record, before deleting a record, after inserting a record, or after updating a record. So these 5 things can be in place of trigger events in the syntax you see.
Okay.
Then we have 2 types of triggers as clearly understood, before triggers and after triggers. As the name suggests, before triggers will execute before updating a record. So by before updating a record, what we can do is we can either change the value which is coming in, or we can check some validation rule and discard the update itself. So those are 2 basic things that we do in before triggers. I'll repeat myself. Before triggers are something which fires before updating or inserting a record. Now, what basic operations we can do on before triggers is, like, either we can validate things, like if some value is not up to the mark, I don't want to save the record. So that can be done there. And or I want to change some value before updating inside. Like user has given in, but I want to store India in place of in, that could be done in before triggers. And then we have after triggers. After trigger is when a record is already being saved in Salesforce environment and you have to update some other records. Like something is being changed in account object and I want to update, say, all its contacts, all its opportunities. That could be achieved by after triggers. Excuse me.
Okay.
So we can read the definition from here. Before triggers are used to perform a task before a record is inserted or updated or deleted. Now these are used to update or validate record values, as I already told, before they are saved to database. Similarly, or contrary, after triggers are used if you want to use the information set by Salesforce system and to make changes in other records, not in the same record which is being updated, rather other records. I gave you an example of account and contact and account and opportunities, something like that. And as simple as that, the basic rule is the record which is firing after trigger is read only. Say I'm updating a record, I'm updating an account, then you cannot modify an account because it's simple to understand. After trigger means after a record is already being updated. That record is already being updated in database. So that cannot be modified. But yes, you can modify the child objects or the other objects.
Okay.
Then These are some context variables which we can use inside triggers just to check what is happening. Like if the trigger is executing, or it is doing an insert operation, or it is doing an update operation. So there are a couple of, I don't want to discuss all of these right now, but as we can check, like is insert indicates a record is being inserted, is update indicates a record is being updated, is delete indicates a record is being to be deleted, whether it's is before trigger or is after trigger. So all these are context variables, a couple of those, and these are the important ones. New and old, and new map and old map. So new and old are lists, rather new map and old map are map. Meanings are same. So what new represent? The new values. What old represent is the old values. Say a record is being updated from some X value to Y value. So X will be the old value and Y will be the new value. The only difference between new and new map and old map is new and old are lists, rather new map and old map are map of ID and the objects. And then we have size, that is total number of records in a trigger invocation, both old and new, means how many records are being updated in one instance.
Okay.
So that's an example of before trigger. So the context is like on account object, we have rating as a attribute, and industry is an attribute. So we have taken a simple use case. Say we have to set rating as hot if account industries, communication, or artificial intelligence AI. So let's see how trigger is being executed. So it says trigger, the trigger name, that's my account trigger, on which object, the account object, and we have taken two events, before insert and before update. And what we are doing is we are just iterating over the account, and we are checking trigger.new. As I told you what the new is the new value, and we are checking if account industry is not null, and account industry is either communication or it is AI. Let's set the account rating as hot. So that's a very basic example of a before trigger, in which we are setting rating as per the industry entered by the user. Similarly, we can have an after trigger example. So let's understand the use case, what we are trying to do. We are trying to update all the contacts whenever the account is modified. So just a simple use case, I'll go with line by line. First line says trigger as the keyword, then the name of the update contact account is the name of the trigger, on which object, account object, when it will be done after updating. Then we have taken list, contact list, and we have taken contact list one. Both are list of contacts. And then we have fired a query. We have fetched all the contacts from the account object, where ID is the new account, which is being modified right now. So for example, X account is being modified. So we have taken all the contacts from that account, and we are adding contact list dot add all the contacts. So basically it's in simple words, what I can say is fetch all the contacts from the account which is being modified right now, and take all the contacts from that and add to the contact list. Then once this loop is over, we are again iterating on the contact list, taking each contact in one instance, and we are just setting the description. Say c.description equal account is updated. It's just an example. So we are just updating the description of that account, and then just after the loop we are updating the contact list one. So that's basic example of modifying all the contacts when the account is being modified. And now what we can do is we can do one thing. We can take a live example of this. I just log into my org. And Let me first take the example of before update trigger. So I'm simply copying it from here.
So do you have slides for everything, like all topics, PPTs?
Yeah, almost all, because earlier some trainings are being given, so those are customized to that client. But yes, I do have, but we can customize on all of those things.
Okay.
So shall I go the org example or it's okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I have logged into my org and let's see, I'm going to the account. Let's create this trigger and let's try to execute and just try to see that. We'll go to the object manager. We'll see the account object. In the left-hand side section, we have triggers. And we'll create a new trigger here. So it is before insert and before update. We have just modifying. If I'm entering industry as communication or AI, the account rating should be set as hot. So, and there is one more thing here. The trigger should be active. If you deactivate this trigger, this will not work. So sometimes there are cases when we have to disable the triggers. So there is a flag. We just have to disable this flag. Then that trigger will not execute. So right now I'm keeping it active and I'm just saving this. As I've copied this text from somewhere else, so some quotes are different there. So that trigger is being saved and that is active. Now, I want to verify this. So what I can do is I can go to accounts, account. And I'm just trying to, let's see if I have some account already existing there. Maybe I will take some other accounts.
So Apex starts with triggers, right? I mean, Apex is
Apex is not only triggers. Trigger is also just having the trigger. Trigger is also having the Apex presence. But in Apex, normally we write classes like Java. But yes, what we are writing in trigger is also an Apex script.
yeah, but in the training, Apex starts with, I mean, triggers, right? Or are there any sessions?
No. Apex will start Apex with normal classes, object-oriented principles, and all those things.
Okay.
So this is an account, and if I see rating to this account, I'll go to details. Do we have rating field here? Yeah, see, rating is empty right now, right? Now, I'm just trying to modify some phone number here. That simply means the record is being updated. I'm just saving it. So rating should be upgraded to something. No, it's not updated. What we have written in the trigger? We have written, okay.
Industry.
Sorry, I missed. Yeah. We have to mark the industry as either communication or AI. So let's mark the industry. Communications. I'm not sure whether I've written communication or communication there, but let's see. So there is a flaw there. Let's go and correct that. Go to object manager, go to account, to my trigger. I have written communication, and that is communications. Save the trigger. I'm coming back, and I'll modify this to communications and save. And see rating is changed to hot.
Mhm.
So that is the before update trigger. Similarly, we can write the after update trigger. I'm just copying it.
Can you write the code like without copying?
Yeah, that's fine. Just to save time, I was doing that. So you can write the code in developer console. So where I open developer console. You can go to here, file new Apex trigger. Name of the trigger. Which object you are using on this account. So let's trigger on account before insert. I want to write after insert. It's the same thing like that I've written there. List of contact. Test one equals to minimum. List of contact. Just for saving time, I was doing that.
Okay. Okay.
Because normally what we do, we don't write code in the sessions. Rather, what I'll do is I always, in one session I'll try to teach them like how to write code where, and then what we can do is we can just copy and paste, rather, uh, I'll keep the code in my org, and then I'll explain all those things, because that will save a lot of time and they can raise their queries well.
But that is actually a passive training, right? People will be just watching. If you're writing code, people will be more engaged. Okay, what is he writing? How is he writing?
Okay. No, I'm fine with that. There's no issue with that. Just give me a moment, please.
Okay.
Just a moment.
Mhm.
Yeah, sorry for that. So just a minute. So we have taken to contact list. Contact list one we have taken for fetching the contacts from the account, and contact list two we have taken for updating the contacts. So next I'm writing a query for account equal to, we can write a select query just to fetch all the contacts from the, so this will be a nested query because account and contact are having parent-child relationship. So select ID and phone number or description. ID and description, let's say, because we're updating this description. ID and description from contact from account, which account where ID is in whatever record is being updated or inserted, rather being updated. Let's write it after update. So let me explain these lines as we are writing. So this list we have taken for getting the contacts which are already with the account, the account which is being updated right now. And the second list we have taken for the updation. And I explain you this query. So this is a nested query because we are having relationship between account and contact. So we have taken ID and description from contact, and we are referencing from the outermost ID and which account where ID is in trigger.new. Trigger.new means the record, the account record, which is right now being updated. So that's one thing. So now we say if account list contacts dot size is more than 0, that indicates that account is at least having some contacts. Then what we can do, we can take our first list, contact list 1 dot add, I'll say add all account dot contacts. So that's a simple piece of code. We are firing a query to get all the contacts from the account, and then we'll checking the accounts have all the contacts. We're adding all the contacts to this contact list 1. Contact list 1. Now, once we have this contact list, we'll go with contact list. Let me write and then I'll explain. I'll update description as account is updated. So that's a dummy thing. I'm just setting the description to account is updated. And then we'll add this to contact list 2. Contact list dot add C. It is After update, contact list 1. And finally, what we'll do, will update contact list 2. So again, I'll explain this line by line. This is the list 1, which is fetching all the contacts from the account which is being modified right now. And second list is for modifying the records. So this is a query which is taking all the contacts from the account, the SOQL statement here. Then if we are saying if account.contacts size is more than 0, that means at least the account is having few contacts. We are adding all the contacts to contact list 1. And once this loop is done, we have all the contacts in contact list 1. Then we have contact list. This should be contact list. This should be contact list 1. Should be contact list 1. So we are iterating contact list 1 with this. And we are setting for each contact, we are setting a description as account is updated. And we are adding this to contact list 2. And finally, once this is done, all the contacts are in contact list 2. And finally, we'll update this. So we are trying to save in this trigger. There's some problem. What it is there? Line number 4 is expecting a semicolon. Okay. No. Here. Bracket, colon, bracket. Which bracket is missing? Let me see. So there is some syntax error here. I'm just trying to diagnose it. Just a moment. This seems okay. Equal to, okay. Account, this should be colon. Still there is some issue. What is that? Okay, there is no. This is okay. This is okay. Context size is okay. Where ID in colon trigger.new. Yeah, that is being saved now. It's properly saved. So we'll try to justify this thing. So whenever we are modifying an account, all its contacts should have the description as account is updated. Okay. So that's why we have saved a trigger named as X trigger. If you want to see it, refresh it, you can see a trigger named as X trigger here. Okay. And also we can see X trigger is active. we can see the status as active. Now we'll try to justify this thing. So this is a king named as account, and we'll go to related thing. Do we have a context? No, we don't have any context. So first let's create few contact for this. I'm creating 2 contact. Just a simple contact. Mr. John James. Good. So there is one contact named as John James, and you just first check its description is where it is. Description. Yeah, see, you have description as empty. There is nothing here. And let me create one more contact. Mr. King George. Also for King George, you can check the description field should be empty. See, it is empty. Now, what we have written whenever I'm modifying account, the description of the contact should be modified. So we'll go to the account and we'll modify something here. Say, let's modify the account number. So we modified the account. Now, if to justify, we'll go to the contacts and just see if description is being modified there. See, we have account is updated.
Yeah.
So that way, insert and after trigger, before insert and after insert triggers works. Coming back to the presentation, if I have something more. Yeah, that we have the further discussions in the coming sessions. We can have recursive triggers and bulkifying triggers and everything.
Okay.
Then we have.
Can you go to the previous slide, actually, that trigger slide? The one before this. Okay.
So in my trigger, I have taken variable name as something different, while here it is something different.
Yeah. So, see, one thing is, I'm not comfortable with this PowerPoint style teaching. So, okay. Would you be able to switch to like Notepad style teaching? Like just like you wrote, right? So, writing like everything down on Notepad, teaching it on Notepad, because this is a very passive style of teaching. It's students will not get engaged with this type of teaching.
So you mean to say like as I'm typing in Notepad and
yes.
explaining then and there?
Yes.
No worries, that will be okay.
And all code and all, you write it on the spot, not like copying and pasting it.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Because every organization wants some different style of things, so we have this as well, and even I'm fine with that as well.
Okay. Okay. So these, I mean, slides and this PPT and all, you can share to the students after the class. But during the class, I would prefer a Notepad style teaching, like typing it down so that students are more engaged.
But that will be then slightly slower than this. That I'm okay with that. There's no harm. But typing all the content then and there and then giving a live demo will extend sessions. That's the.
You need not type all the content. You just explain the content and write just the outline in the Notepad.
So where do you want all these things which we have explained? I
See,
cannot, somebody cannot type all these things.
no. I don't want you to type this whole thing. Okay, just type
Okay.
new map, old map, size. So new means you just say like, okay, new version. Old means old version. You need not type this entire thing.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can explain this. You can explain this, but type only the outline in the notepad.
Yeah, that will be done. Means we can customize the thing as you want. No harm in that. Just guide and let me know.
Okay. Okay. And Jittu said you are unable to take mock interviews.
Yeah, definitely. I'm taking in my company, so no worries with that.
Okay, you can take mock interviews, right?
Yeah, no worries. Not at all. No problem at all. And I'm having some team members, even they can take, I can guide them to take interviews, no issues.
Okay. And you'll be also able to help with project explanation, like you'll be able to show some real-time project, like how it looks and all.
Yeah, we can take some small projects. Means it is not like that we can take some 15-20 days project, but yes, I can give some hands-on thing like create something in the next 2 days, like to do application or something like that. That would be done.
Yeah. No, that is fine. But at the end, like if they want to see like a real live project, would you be able to show anything like that?
Yeah, we can take any case study and we can start developing, or I can, align some of my team member who can sit with them and in all the project and they solve their queries, or even I can do that. There's no harm.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, okay. That's all I had. So I just need it to be more interactive, kind of. If you use, I think Notepad, I think it will be more interactive. So,
Yeah, that would be taken care of. No issues.
yeah. So who will be covering the admin part?
So initially, see, for the training concern, like I'll be taking only the admin, both and development as well. But for say, if I'm giving some hands-on things to the cadets, then maybe some of my team member can assist them to like how to create this thing. Say, I have given 2 assignments after this and say
Mhm.
create these 2 triggers. Then
Mhm.
I might not be assisting at that case, in that
Yes.
case, but some of my team member will be assisting them like
Yeah. Okay, that is fine. Yeah, that is fine.
Yeah.
So admin, developer, Lightning and Apex, how much time, Lightning and Aura, how much time do you think we need to complete all of that?
See, I have to reconsider these things because normally I take 45 days, around 45 days for admin and around 55 days for dev, including the integrations things. But as you are saying, we have to go with the notepad thing and not copying, pasting and writing the code then and there. So that might extend some sessions. So um, maybe we can take 2 months for around means, yeah, around 2 months for admin and then another 2 months for dev.
4 months.
4 months, yes. That I'm expecting because I have not considered like not thought of like writing in notepad and explaining things, and because then you have to write all the code. Say I'm giving a complicated example of a class wherein I'm doing some very complicated operation wherein I'm explaining them nested accounts and multiple things. So if I have to write that code whole in notepad, then it's understood thing, like it will take time.
Okay. But admin, there's no code and all, right? Do you think it will still extend?
No, admin will not extend. Admin is okay.
Okay. So daily, how much time are you thinking for the class?
Classes, because normally what I do is I tried taking lengthy sessions of 2 hours also, but then a student doesn't grasp that.
Yeah.
So maybe one hour session and 30 minutes hands-on to them, so that they can come up with the next day.
Okay. 1.5 hours. Okay.
Not 1.5 hour, 1 hour session, and then I give them assignment in another 10 minutes, and then they come up and we'll review on the next day.
Okay. Okay. Like 1 hour session. Okay.
Because if we give too much thing in a one session, then it doesn't make a sense if they are not grasping it.
Yeah. So code and all, like you teach them from the basics, like how to write code, because most of them are new. You don't have any.
Yeah. We'll start with developer console itself. I'll not give them very complicated thing like VS Code and doing all those things. We'll start with as I did right away. I opened developer console and I just saved the file, and that's it. It's a very simple case.
No, I'm talking about effects, teaching effects from the scratch. Like, are you going to teach them like how to do the programming?
Are they coming from engineering background?
They come from all types of backgrounds. Actually, all of them pretty much have some kind of gap, like around maybe 10 years and all. So their education, I think they must have lost everything by that time.
Oh, that then if they are not familiar with C++ and Java concepts and object-oriented programming, then I could take some another 5-10 sessions for that, because if those concepts are not there, then no point. If I'm saying writing a classic and creating an object and they don't understand what a class is and what object is, then how will they grasp it? So in that case, I would plan another 5-10 sessions just to give them the overview of the concept, like how things work in the environment.
Okay. Right. Okay. That's all I had. Do you have any questions for me?
Oh, and I can customize my things as per your need. So there is no reservations for that. So just let me know. We can do that.
Okay. So when can we do like a actual demo session for all the students? Tomorrow, would you be able to do? So tomorrow.
Tomorrow, for students, I have to see like what if they're just new now. So I have to take some basic things, no?
A demo session. First we need to do a demo session.
No, demo session, it's similar to like what I did today, right?
Yes, but without this PowerPoint.
No, but first demo session, will they be able to understand anything if they are not new to Salesforce and they don't know the
No,
UI?
not this one, not this demo session. So it's the introduction to Salesforce kind of demo session.
Yeah, so in that I'll only speak. I'll not show any UI or anything, right? And what Salesforce is and how the cloud things work and what all the career prospects are and how certification things goes on and how Trailhead works, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Just
Yeah, that is fine. That I can take, no issues. But yeah, let's keep it tomorrow then.
tomorrow. Okay. So. So that will be Wednesday morning for you. That works, right? 6 a.m. Does that work?
6 a.m. Wednesday morning.
Yeah. What time do you wake up? I'll plan accordingly.
I wake up. That's a bit tricky. 7 o'clock. Can we make it 7 o'clock?
7 o'clock? Yeah. We can do 7 o'clock.
Okay, 7 in the morning. Wednesday, my morning is okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
How many candidates will be there?
I'm not sure yet. Maybe max around like 10, I would say.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
No issues. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, Arinjay. Yeah. Nice talking to
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mhm.